Welcome, everyone, and thanks for joining us here today for this conversation about how AI is reshaping IP strategies for Japanese companies. We're going to talk about what's going on in Japan at the JPO. We're going to talk about what's going on outside of Japan for those cases that originate in Japan and what goes on in Japan for those cases that originate outside the Japan and the US primarily, and they're headed towards Japan. So we have a specific and robust conversation here for you today. We appreciate you joining us. And I'll kick it over to Morgan to introduce our speakers. Morgan.
Great. Thanks, Jean. Today on our panel, we have Dr. Matthias Hoffman. Matthias is a patent attorney and a partner at Boomert and Boomert, specializing in patent prosecution, oppositions, and appeals before the European Patent Office. His practice focuses on computer-implemented inventions, particularly artificial intelligence, drawing on deep expertise in machine learning, medical imaging, telecommunications, and bioinformatics. Next, we have Daniel Brown. Daniel Brown is an intellectual property specialist at Fuji Corporation with 18 years of experience spanning business development, innovation, and IP strategy. Based in Japan, he brings a unique cross-functional perspective to intellectual property, helping align global IP strategy with business objectives and emerging technologies. Next, we have FX Leduc, an accomplished entrepreneur with career spanning over a decade, founding and leading innovative tech companies. He currently leads DeepIP, the AI patent assistant based in New York City. Focused on revolutionizing IP practices, he collaborates globally with patent practitioners from law firms and major corporations to integrate AI into his daily workflows. Last but not least, our moderator, Jean Quinn, a patent attorney and a leading commenter on patent law and innovation policy. He founded IPWatchdog in 1999 and has since twice been named one of the top 50 most influential people in IP. He is regarded as an expert on software patentability and U.S. patent procedure and has been repeatedly recognized as one of the top IP strategists in the world. Back to you, Jean.
Great. Thanks a lot, Morgan. And once again, thank you all for being here today. Let's go around the table first and kind of maybe level set and get everybody's initial take on this issue. Gentlemen, from what I hear, things are maybe changing a little bit in Japan. Japan has always been a major part of the IP community, a major tech center, and a place where there are a lot of high-tech Japanese companies that file there and then leave Japan and go all throughout the world, and vice versa. Companies that start elsewhere and wind up in Japan. So it's one of the core centers of our world, and at least in the patent world. But I understand things are changing a little bit, maybe some ideas about companies. Should they file? Should they not file? How much should they file? What should they file is changing. And so an open-ended question for you to start us off today. What, from your perspective, is going on interesting in the Japanese market, understanding that the Japanese market is an international market, right? Because people start there and then go elsewhere. But FX, maybe we'll start with you for that question.
Thank you, Jean, and nice to be with all of you this morning. So my view on that so before Gen AI, the world of IP was a bit like like Tour de Babel, Babel Tower. So cultural gaps, jurisdictional gaps, language gaps, time difference, time lag, and so all of that creates a lot of complexity, a lot of costs, and a lack of transparency in the ecosystem. And today, with new technologies, with generative AI, these barriers are a bit abolished, giving access to more transparency, more fluid collaboration, and in the end, cost-efficient strategies across the globe.
Great. Awesome. Thanks for those initial thoughts. Let's go next to Dan. And Dan is off camera. He is joining us in Japan from Fuji Corporation. And Japan, as I understand it, Dan, you are in the middle of a typhoon. So you're having
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's causing these technical glitches, but I'm going to leave my my video off. So long as you can hear me fine, then
Yes, we hear you.
Absolutely.
We hear you fine. So, what are your initial thoughts on the Japanese market, Japanese patents coming and going?
Yeah, I mean, I think, Japan has always been very international in the products that it builds and it sells. And for that reason, they've, always had the need to file internationally. But I think in recent years, there's been a definite kind of trend towards reevaluating both the size and the focus of portfolios, and it's been influenced by both the kind of changing international nature of a lot of markets. So different competition coming from different countries, also different end markets where the end products are being sold into, and also just kind of an evaluation of whether you're really getting efficiency and value from these giant portfolios is areas where I think a lot of companies are having a rethink, a reevaluation of their entire portfolios.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I'll have a follow-up question for you here, but I'd like to get Matthias's initial views. Matthias, what are your thoughts on this topic?
Yeah, so what we see is in general with industry patent departments that they see AI as an opportunity to handle things themselves. And this is also, I see here from the audience, there is this question, that many high-tech companies in Japan are taking prosecution in-house to do it themselves. And this is definitely one of the biggest developments that I see, that AI empowers anyone, to do things themselves, for which in the past uh, outside specialized and expensive counsel was necessary. So maybe indeed this is one initial trend now, things going more in-house. Definitely AI gives more power, to in-house people, but I'm not sure whether this will really be that the outside counsels, law firms will no longer be needed. I have doubts about that. I mean, it's maybe a little bit similar to in medicine, where AI is also giving people the ability to just talk with AI about their symptoms, and maybe get really strong answers. But are you really going to rely on ChatGPT if you may be having a serious disease or whatever, or a problem? It's no, you still need the professional. It just um, raises the bar. Yeah, that's what I think. Like it won't be just, for example, office action responses in the same way that they were done in the past by the um, law firms, but they need to offer more a better service, considering not only preparing the office action response in the same way that you go for the the first possible choice of getting a patent, but you need to know the company strategy, you need to know the competitors, products, and so on, and use AI, to provide a strategy for prosecution, and this then will be quite challenging, even using AI. So that I believe that there is still a role for this collaboration between in-house and law firms.
Yeah, it's interesting. That was the thing I was going to follow up with Dan. So Dan, I'd like to get your take on that as well. And at the risk of saying I saw a question in the chat box, if you can put your questions into the Q&A box, it'll make it easier for me to follow along, because sometimes the chat does get a little bit crazy. So please feel free to chat amongst yourselves, ask questions of DeepIP's team. If you have any technical needs, you can ask my team for help, and chat amongst yourselves in the chat box. But if you have a question for the panel, please put it in the Q&A box. So with that caveat, I did see in the chat somebody who did raise what you were just talking about, is that more Japanese companies seem to be bringing patent work in-house. So Dan, let me ask you, is that what you see going on in Japan currently?
I see potential for it. I think from my personal perspective within my own company, I think we're typically conservative as a Japanese company. So we're taking baby steps towards using this. So I don't necessarily see it as something that can immediately help us bring everything in-house, and even whether that's desirable. But it certainly does broaden your opportunities. And I guess, to use the medical analogy, it's like a very easy and quick way to get a second and third opinion, which can often be very useful when you're working in complex cases in overseas jurisdictions, and maybe there's been it's taken a different direction to how prosecution went in Japan, maybe, and you're analyzing it and you're trying to find the common threads, and then your advice from your outside attorney is this, and then you're thinking, okay, maybe, but maybe I have a different opinion. And then of course, there are ways to get second and third opinions these days, but it's quite expensive, and so AI gives you a real opportunity, I think, to be able to maybe get another opinion.
Yeah, I continue to believe myself that AI is going to enhance quality in the hands of a trained professional, and I see more stories in the news about how companies that were laying people off because of AI are now starting to rehire people, because I do think corporate America and maybe corporate, Japan and, corporates all over the world do have a little bit of a misunderstanding about what AI can actually do. I think what they think it is it's an easy button. It makes quality much better. It does offer efficiencies, but I don't think, and I think it can let you do more, and it can let you do things faster, but that doesn't mean that there's no place for the human. And I think in the hands of a highly trained human, these AI tools are fascinating and are revolutionary, really. And so I do think there's a great opportunity for everyone here. And I'm reminded that whenever a new technology comes out, there's always a cry that, oh, this is going to cost jobs, people are going to lose their work, and so forth. And at the beginning, there's a little bit of bumpiness for sure. But I am hard pressed. I was having this conversation with somebody yesterday, hard pressed to think of a technology that actually led to less employment. It always leads to more employment, because you say, oh, well, now I can do these things that I otherwise couldn't have done, so I'm going to do them. And it gets you much further down the road and much higher quality and much greater confidence and et cetera. So we'll see if this technology is different. Now, that's not to say that the economy doesn't wind up changing. Some jobs do wind up getting lost and others wind up getting created. So I'm talking about net jobs here, not necessarily saying that, oh, well, every receptionist in the world is going to continue to have a job as AI gets better and better at answering phone calls. But I think it's an exciting time, and I think we need to embrace it. So let me launch this first poll question so we can find out a little bit about who is here. So the question is, what best describes your organization's patent filing activity? So I'll give you guys a minute to answer that question for us. And FX, I know you've got some slides that you've prepared. Do you want to run through those now, or start to go through those now while people answer this question?
Yes, sure.
Okay, let me share the screen. Okay.
Thank you, Gene. So a word about DeepIP. DeepIP, we are a 60 people company based in the US and based in Europe. And we built a platform to serve practitioners from invention harvesting to enforcement. We started 3 years ago with drafting and then expanded to prosecution and to the rest of the patent life cycle. Today we have over 300 clients globally, so 70% in the US and the rest being in Europe and in Asia, including Japan, obviously. Can you go to the next one, perhaps? Thank you. And I think one of the key aspects of these platforms is really to be able to serve across the life cycle and to serve across the geographies. So the tool has been built and has expanded its capacities to be able to serve first initially, obviously the US, but then other jurisdictions. And today the tool speaks and understands jurisdictional specificities in 20 different jurisdictions. And so in the hands of corporates, it needs to be able to get a second and third opinion, as Daniel shared. It's a very powerful assistance to help you assess the quality of the job delivered by your counsels, raise the bar, and build up your own opinion on what should be the right strategy. And so what makes DeepIP unique? Obviously, security is at the core of everything we build. So the tool is ISO 27001, SOC 2 Type 2, making sure that no one can get access to your data, and your data remain confidential across the life cycle. We invest a lot of energy to make a tool very simple. I think the success of deploying such a solution is not buying a solution, it's actually getting it used. And depending on the proficiency of people with technology, lowering the barriers. So basically making the tool available where you work, in Word, close to your IPMS or your docketing system. Very simple to use. It's critical to get adoption and heavy usage. And finally, extremely reliable. So basically able to cite every source of information it uses, and collaborative by design within your teams and across teams, because we believe that collaboration is one of the major evolution in the space where these tools will able to simplify the workflow between outside counsel and corporations. And so feel free to ask for a trial after the webinar online on our website. Thank you.
Great. Awesome. Okay, so it gives you all a little bit of information about DeepIP. I see we've got some questions in the Q&A already about that, but what I'd like to do is let me stop the poll and I'll share the results so everybody can see the results here so we can get an idea of who we have here. So what best describes your organization's patent filing activity? The winner, probably maybe not shockingly, is we file in multiple jurisdictions. And we work at a law firm serving international clients was number two. So, actually, I guess that just edged out. So there's a virtual tie between those two there. So maybe no real shocks, but thank you for answering that poll. Let us know who you are. Gentlemen, we have a question in the Q&A box that probably is worth kicking around a little bit. And maybe Dan, I'll start with you. It's why is there this current reevaluation in Japan on the portfolio size and where they're filing? And from what I understand, it's not every company is making changes, but there are some large companies in Japan that are asking questions that maybe they hadn't asked in years previous. What's driving that reevaluation?
I think one is, as I mentioned, they're kind of changing in international markets. So obviously it depends on your industry, but where the competition is coming from, I think in a lot of industries is changing. Maybe typically Japanese companies had a lot of competition from the other Japanese companies. And in that respect, maybe they just need to match the portfolios of companies that they knew well. But as markets change, companies are up and coming in other countries, and that forces you to reevaluate, I think, your strategy in one way. Another issue, I think, is maybe that companies are taking a look at Japan, which is traditionally always ranked very highly in any kind of rankings of patent applications and filings as a measure of innovation, but has not necessarily scored so well on other measures of innovation, such as the number of new unicorns being born in Japan, startup companies, and that kind of thing. So I think people are beginning to realize that maybe giant portfolios and huge amounts of filing does not necessarily correlate with real innovation and new business. And then I guess the third thing, probably from my point of view as well, is basically a cost factor. Foreign filings, especially, I think, have become relatively more expensive as the stagnant economy in Japan has kind of flatlined, and the rest of the world has continued to grow and become relatively more expensive. And it makes maintaining and keeping these large portfolios a larger cost, basically, as a percentage of your business. So I think those are some of the main reasons, I guess. That, like I said, it does depend on your industry, depends on the company, but that's kind of the things I've seen in recent years, I guess.
Okay. Anything to add there, FX, from your perspective?
No, honestly, I think I totally agree with what Daniel shared.
Okay. All right. So, Matthias, you want to add anything there?
Yeah, so with this foreign portfolio, what Daniel mentioned, this is something I also have observed many times. Yeah, that in one way, in order to be internationally active, you need to have an international portfolio of patents. Yeah. On the other hand, it's a big cost factor, and many companies don't actually know, which ones to maintain. I mean, each year the annuity fees go up, and it's getting more and more that you're paying. And this, I think, is one of the shortcomings of the traditional patent world, that once the portfolio has reached a certain size, it's very difficult to keep an overview of which ones are actually valuable, and there might be even infringing products, and which ones are not. And this is where AI will help a lot. I mean, it'll suddenly be possible to analyze an entire portfolio, against products that are out there, what can be found, and it will be much easier to see whether something, a patent, has the potential, to map to competitors' products, or whether actually the market is developing in a different direction, and there are no pointers to that. So I think this is one of the things that we will see changing, that there will be more work necessary and possible, to have an optimized portfolio, and then maybe still pay for the foreign portfolio, but focused on those patents that are actually valuable.
Yeah, and I think perhaps also on even upper funnel, at the R&D, at the invention identification, at the invention selection. AI will help level up the quality of the inventions, surfacing more robust, more differentiated, more aligned with the strategy inventions that will then be filed and patented.
Yeah, I think that reminds me of another point, maybe, that actually is particularly relevant to Japan, is that a lot of industries that Japanese companies are involved in have become quite mature over recent years, which leads the technology to become ever more complicated. And analyzing the portfolios at this stage becomes a very onerous task. But you also need to work out, when things are becoming so incremental, you do need to work out where the real value is in these large portfolios, if a lot of the applications themselves are getting very detailed.
Yeah. Out of necessity, because both the technology is extremely detailed, and then the requirements that courts all around the world expect never goes backwards. It only ever ratchets it up, what is expected of us as patent practitioners. Okay, so I'm going to launch the next poll question here because a part of this is going to be something I want to talk about here. Uh, 2 questions from now. The next question, though, I want to throw out while we're waiting on getting your feedback on this question in the audience is to throw to FX because there's this perception that most of the AI patent tools that have been built were built with the USPTO and EPO in mind, and that other jurisdictions like the JPO and others are an afterthought. What do you say about that? And is that a real concern today?
So thank you, Jean, for bringing that. So I think it's a fair say to say that these tools have been built following the market. So basically, the US market was the most mature first, and so when we developed this market, these tools, we did it with USPTO in mind. As Europe and then Asia, it's China, basically Japan and Korea have followed up, we added the capabilities to address these jurisdictions. But it is still true that the tools have been mostly developed for, I would say, today USPTO and EPO, and Asia is Asian capabilities, so basically GPO, Korean PTO, and China are jurisdictions for which there is still work to be done to deliver the same quality of outputs than we are able to do for EPO and USPTO. And I think it's true across the board, you know.
Mm-hmm. So Dan, is there anything to say there? Have you tried any of these tools? Have you seen that they're getting better dealing with things outside of just the EPO and the USPTO?
Well, yeah, from my experience, I think most of them are designed with the EPO and the US Patent Office in mind in terms of the integrations that they have. I mean, to be honest, I think one of the most kind of surprising and useful features of AI in general has been its ability in any language to be able to analyze and communicate seamlessly. And that ability seems quite strong in a lot of these AI systems. So kind of just outside of maybe the legal issue, just in terms of language, I mean, AI breaks down the barriers, I think, and enables you to communicate and analyze in any language very, very quickly and seamlessly. It will be an added benefit, I think, if they can be fully integrated with the systems of the individual patent offices, including the JPO, to enable easy kind of download of files and things like that. But yeah, in terms of the kind of basic analysis, I think it's pretty much there anyway. But yeah, I mean, maybe, and I don't see any real reason why it shouldn't be easily tunable to Japan. I mean, the data is there, presumably. I'm not an expert on how these systems are trained, but in the same way that the data is available from the USPTO, the data is available. It's public information in Japan in Japanese, so I don't see it. There shouldn't be any barrier to training these models in Japanese. I don't know if
no. There is no complexity, technical complexity. So basically, the tools, have access to the data. They are trained with the case law, the guidance, the local guidance, and then we need to connect with the different PTOs, and we do that following the request of the clients. I think one of the very important points is that the barrier, the language barrier remains a difficulty for product builders to be able to collect, feedbacks from users and to deeply understand in the local context. And so this is where most of the difficulty is.
Yeah. So, Dan, you led us into where I was thinking about going next, which is with respect to the language. And one of the things that we had in the description that we wanted to talk to was AI as a language equalizer. And I believe when we had the pre-call, you were talking about that in some detail and what these tools can do to make sure that the entire team, both the in-house counsel and the outside counsel, are all on the same page. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think pre AI, obviously from a Japanese perspective. So we deal in Japanese first, and then English second, and then for third languages, we basically don't have any in-house experience. So we're pretty much fully reliant on our outside counsel for anything outside those two main languages. Obviously, individual cases they go different directions in different jurisdictions, and sometimes it might be a bit of a mystery as to why the patent office in China or the patent office in Germany has given this rejection when everything went very smoothly in Japan. And then you're at the mercy of your foreign counsel in trying to understand the technical details if it's being written in a third language. But yeah, I mean, and obviously they do their best to explain everything in English. For a lot of my colleagues, that's not ideal because they would prefer to have everything explained in Japanese. And AI is something that can enable that, I think, very quickly and very easily and very cheaply compared to current translation. Like, I mean, translation is a huge cost for Japanese companies when prosecuting overseas.
Yeah, I bet. And I don't think you can underestimate the ability to quickly and easily have everybody on the same page from a language perspective. I know we've done pretty well as patent practitioners and in-house, both in-house, outside, and getting through the language barriers, but there really is a very significant barrier. I would think probably more so than there is between the U.S. and say Europe when you start talking about Asian countries. I think it's a maybe it's just me, but I do think that there is a little bit more of a disconnect, or a little bit more effort required. Um, and so I do think that these tools provide an awful lot of promise to make sure everybody's on the same page. And in a world that gets more and more complicated, a word here, a word there, mistranslated or translated, maybe not technically perfect, can make a big difference. FX,
Well,
or Dan, go ahead.
yeah, definitely. I mean, I spent many a year translating actually between Japanese and English, and even you work hard to make sure that it's a faithful translation, but just due to the grammatical differences between the languages, sometimes it seems like the claims can come out backwards in a way. In a way, they do come out backwards, just as the way Japanese is written compared to English. And then when you're going through arguments through prosecution, then yeah, they often come out backwards as well. So it is sometimes interesting how seemingly the same case, the same arguments can sound so different in different languages.
Yeah, Matthias, I know you have some perspective from around the world and in Europe in particular, maybe even also litigation perspective. What say you about the language barrier or equalizer effect that AI has?
Yeah, so definitely it empowers the AI users, to work with documents no matter which language. I mean, this is simply something that in the past language was one barrier, and in a way maybe also an excuse, not to look into certain things, because it would be too much effort to always get a good translation or something. And this has changed completely, and or is actually possible through AI. But I also see that, as is so often the case, with technological breakthroughs, it takes time until this really arrives in practice. There is actually, it is possible for no matter in which language a prior art is, through AI, I am able to deal with it and establish novelty and inventive step compared to all prior art. But I still see in many places, yeah, that for international companies, for example, European and US based ones, that they mostly look for English language prior art. Yeah, this is even though now that there's a lot others out there, and I think really this is unexcusable. Yeah, in this time where AI can you can deal with any prior art in any language.
Yeah. Yeah. It's gotten much, much easier in order to figure out what else is out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, good. All right. So let me there's been some chat going on and some questions here, and I think relating back to the question about where I said that from what I'm hearing there are some Japanese companies that are filing, I suppose you would say filing less, maybe more discriminating. And what I would just want to say about that is it's from what I understand it to be, it is not across the board. Some of the largest Japanese filers continue to be the largest filers in the world. And the other companies that I've heard about that are asking these questions about what is the right size of the portfolio, it's not to say that they're not filing. They're still filing. They're still among the largest filers in the world. It's just that for them, they are maybe taking a little bit of a step back and reevaluating. I think some of that is cost. I think there's a lot of factors that go into that. And Dan, I think during our pre-call, you were also mentioning, the exchange rate and maybe the weakness of the yen. Can you address that maybe just a little bit for folks?
Yeah, I mean, certainly, like I said, I mean, there's been no inflation in Japan, not much economic growth as a whole in Japan for 30 years. That's not been the case in the rest of the world. And basically, fees across the board seem very expensive from a Japanese point of view. I guess, you may have noticed travelers from other countries to Japan may have noticed how cheap it is compared to how it used to be in Japan. It's now a great deal, a very reasonable place to come and visit. Yeah, and the converse of that is that it's very expensive to maintain large overseas portfolios for a lot of companies. And yeah, there is a reevaluation, I think. Are you getting value? But like you said, I mean, it's not going to slow down necessarily the desire to file. But maybe at the later stage. So are you really needing to maintain all these patents through their life, especially if the market for your products has changed?
Well, I also think in FX, maybe it would be good to get your take on this as well. I think these AI technologies are going to allow companies to be much more discerning and make better, more intelligent choices on what to file on the front end. And whereas a lot of times you would be just filing because you don't really know what's going to mature into something that's technically relevant or useful or commercially viable. I think you have at least some better information about that now today. You can make maybe better educated guesses because of the power of these tools to crunch large amounts of data and maybe see insights into the future or where the economy is moving or where markets are moving that we didn't really have or regular people or even small firms or small companies didn't have in the past. So I do think the decisions are going to be better. So I wonder whether it's going to wind up just reshuffling the deck a little bit after people take a breath and give them more confidence that no, this is something we really need to be patenting and we need to go all in over here, maybe a little less over here. And I think that's what we're going to wind up seeing in a lot of places. What do you think?
So I relate very much what you shared and with what Matthias shared earlier. I think one of the most obvious and visible impact of AI today is the quality of the job to be done. And so Matthias was mentioning that about prosecution, but we see the same at every step of the workflow. Basically, practitioners are not blind anymore. They have the ability to search across massive data quantities, claim charting at feature level, thousands of patents in a matter of a few minutes. and assessing the coverage versus an existing product or an infringing patent, and so and that's in every language, because you can take any documentation, any prior art, any invention, translate it at scale, and analyze it at the feature level or at the claim level across your inventions or a set of your portfolio or whatever. So I think the increase of quality in prosecution, in drafting that we've seen significantly evolving over the, I would say, the 18 past months, is now spreading across the broader patent lifecycle, as our platforms have developed modules to be able to help on invention harvesting, patentability assessment, portfolio pruning decisions, for instance. Yeah.
Okay. Great. So let me ask about this. I mean, and Dan and Matthias, I'd like to get your thoughts on this question here as well. One of the things that's been going on in the U.S. is you see uh, increasingly companies, clients wanting law firms to be using AI tools. There's an expectation that they're going to be used. There's also an expectation that there will be cost savings, maybe if not now, eventually. And that's an ongoing conversation. And I wonder, in Japan and in certain other parts of the world, companies are maybe a little bit more conservative, not political conservative versus liberal, but more of a, just strictly conservative. That's not the way we did it. We've always done it this way. We're going to play it the way we've always done it. And I wonder whether in Japan in particular, which I maybe I incorrectly believe this, but it's my perception that the companies in Japan would fall into the very conservative, not liking a lot of change. Are they more likely to want to embrace AI because of their technology culture, or are they less likely to want to embrace AI all in just yet because of the conservative nature of business? Dan, what do you say?
I think I would have to agree overall that Japan is quite conservative culture, and the business culture is also very conservative, which is kind of, yeah, it is kind of strange, Japan being so technologically advanced in many ways, but I think it has been slower to take up and catch on to AI. But I think there's a converse to that as well, in that once things do kind of take hold in Japan, then they become popular very quickly.
Mhm.
And there's a maybe a tendency for everyone to kind of follow the leaders very quickly. And so now it seems we're nearly at that tipping point, I think, with AI. And also the government has also been quite proactive in trying to promote the use of these technologies. I think because it's seen as a potential solution to the labor crunch that Japan is facing as it ages,
Mhm.
and the population has actually already started to shrink. And so there's just across the board potential shortages of workers. And yeah, AI is seen as maybe being a potential solution to that. And so the government is keen to have people embrace it. But I think, yeah, the take up is maybe has been a little slower because of the risk averseness in Japan.
Mm.
I mean, from a personal perspective, I don't think we wouldn't be mandating that people use AI. But we certainly has seeing the benefits enough that we would kind of not object to AI being used, especially if it was going to reduce costs for us.
So let me follow up one more question for you, and then Matthias, I'd like you to comment on any of this, and not to like hold you to this, but if you were going to give advice to say like a U.S. or European attorney who's trying to explain to Japanese companies why they might want to work with them, how AI forward should that pitch be, and what maybe do you think they should focus on? Because AI can do a lot of stuff. It can help you with innovation harvesting. It can help you with drafting. It can help you with prosecution. Is any more one of those buckets going to be more interesting, do you think, to Japanese companies?
I think in the end, I mean, the approach in Japan is very rational. So my advice would be that it's all in the end, it's all about the end product. So whether you're using AI, you're not using AI, is your service going to be more efficient, more high quality than what the other person is offering? And if you can explain how the use of AI achieves that, then I think it could be a potential avenue to differentiate yourself maybe in the Japanese market. But yeah, my advice is, yeah, think logically, appeal to the logical brain, I guess.
Yeah. Matthias, I see you smiling. So what are your thoughts on all of that? What's the right pitch? What's the right, you can't just say AI is going to do it all, because then, well, why do I need you? But like, how do you integrate this into higher quality, better performance, work with us, we can do this for you.
Yeah. I mean, I was smiling, yeah, because I mean, Germany is in a similar situation, in a way, yeah, with the aging society as is Japan, yeah. And of course, everywhere there's this concern about AI replacing humans, yeah, professionals with long training and so on. But in Germany, we also have this situation that so many people are going to retire in the next 5 years that it's actually, I think we don't need to be too concerned, yeah, because if in the patent attorney profession, yeah, AI makes us twice as efficient, but over the next 10, 15 years, I don't know, nearly half of the professionals will anyhow retire, then it's coming just at the right time. And the other comment was about this, what Daniel said about Japan being conservative with regard to new technologies. Again, this is something that maybe the Germany is also a bit careful, let's say, with new technologies. But in the case of AI, in the patent profession, maybe that's not necessarily so bad that if someone was not the earliest adopter, yeah. I mean, if we look at so much has happened from last year to this year in AI, and quality has improved so much, and where last year maybe some like the language models were not really smart enough, yeah, to understand many inventions, and some kinds where it was much more often the case that they generated text which looked good but missed the point, yeah. And now is actually a much better time to embrace AI, yeah, where it still needs to be checked by humans, but the percentage of good answers, yeah, is much higher, and the return on investment on AI is now much higher. Yeah, it's a good time now to, if not done already, now to use AI tools.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I think that, if you're not using AI tools, you got to just rip off the Band-Aid and you got to start using them. I said this the other day, the best time to start using AI tools was yesterday, which you can't go back and do. So if you haven't started doing it, that means the next best answer is today. And if today's inconvenient, then you got to start doing it tomorrow. I mean, this has to be I mean, we're not talking next month, next year. People are starting to fall behind, I think. And the expectation is that these tools uh, can be used, and I understand that people sometimes don't want to adopt because they don't know, like VCR versus Betamax, VHS versus Betamax, for example. Like if you pick the one that's not going to win, people say, oh, well, then everything I put and learned is a waste. No, it's not. You're learning how to communicate with the machine. You're learning how to phrase prompts, you're learning how to interact, you're learning what it can do, and you're going to get better at doing that the more you do it. And if you don't start, you're never going to get good at it. And if you never get good at it, then you're going to be behind the eight ball once there is a totally uniform system and everybody is on the same page. If that ever happens, I'm not sure that's ever going to happen. I had thought we were going to get to a place where there was going to be a consolidation of a lot of these AI tools, and now watching the marketplace, I believe that's going to happen. Certainly not in the short term. So waiting for there to be a consolidation, I think, is a mistake. You got to use the best available tools. What say you, FX, when you hear people that maybe want to wait? What do you tell them? Yeah, I mean, as the technologist, you almost kind of laugh, right? I mean, no, you can't. This is not something you got to wait. You got to go
Uh,
ahead, right?
Yeah, I think so. What we see today in the marketplace is that we are at a point where I think we are starting to have the majority of practitioners equipped with a solution, whatever the solution. And so, if you are part of the other half, but you are already far behind. What we see is that there is a gap between people having adopted AI and people really proficient with AI, which is significant. So basically, productivity gains with a company which has just started, and a company which is really using AI at scale for 12 months, the productivity gains are the double or the triple because everyone has learned how to use the tool, how everyone has learned how to best use it in context of their very technology, their use cases, their clients. And so, if you have not started yet, you are really, really far behind it, and you are probably not competitive anymore. You are probably delivering lower quality final work for the same amount of for the same price. And so, if you want to be able to face today's world, you must start. And whatever the solution, because as you said, Gene, consolidation might come, but the switching costs are very low today. It's super easy to go from ChatGPT to Claude. And I guess all of us did it around the table here today. And so I think what is very important is to get started, to learn, and then time will tell you if you need to adjust your strategy.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that's exactly right. I think you just got to get started. So, let me let me ask this question here. So if people are interested in starting to use AI tools, whether it be companies or law firms or both together so that they're using the same tools so that they can, have the same platform and better streamline things, what should actually matter to them when they're evaluating the tools? FX, maybe we could start with you on that answer.
I think so. So there are a few. So there are a lot of companies, providers in the marketplace, but there are very few which are really high quality. So I think first do a bit of a shopping list to select the 2, 3 which are worth assessing, and DeepIP is one of them. And then define a group, not too small, so something like 15 people, 15 people that will really get their hands into the tools to really assess if that fits with your workflow, if the quality is good, and so and so. And then I think what really matters, even more than picking the tool, is do you trust the people building this tool? Do they have a vision on where things are moving to, the direction, basically? Do they invest time with you to get your feedback and adjust the developments based on your feedback? Are they able to provide a proper support and training? Because buying the solution is just the beginning. It's something like 20% of the success, but the 75% remaining percent of the success are basically training, adoption, ongoing support, and this over the course of something like 12 months, because this is the way you have to think about it. If you want to adopt AI at the scale of the company, you have to think it as a change management project over the course of a year, where people will develop their skills and expand their ability across the workflow to do what they need to be able to do. And so picking a partner, I think, is what matters the most. Yeah.
Yeah. So Dan, let me ask you that question maybe from a slightly different perspective. What matters to you?
Yeah, I think I mean in the end it's quality and cost are the two factors. But as a company, you need to there are so many opportunities. It's almost daunting in a way to try and get started. So you
Hmm.
need to, I guess, do some analysis, figure out what's your big pain point or your first task that you think is most suited to AI that's going to help you the most, and maybe at the beginning focus on that and realize that it's not going to happen. It's not going to AI is not going to take over your workflows overnight. You need to go through methodically and figure out which parts it can do, which parts it can't do, where it's going to bolster the human, where the human is still needed, and so on. And yeah, treat it like a long-term project that it is going to be, and it's still playing out how these tools are developing. So you're definitely going to have to react to how the market changes in the future as well. But yeah, starting with a focused team with focused goals on certain aspects of work, I think is a good way to go at the beginning, and remain flexible
Yeah. No,
as the
no,
world keeps changing.
yeah. Flexibility, I think, is key. Not so much for any other reason than I think that these tools, the more you play with them, the more that you can see that what it can do. So if you're flexible and open-minded and you're using these tools, I think you're going to start to see an awful lot of use cases, which is exciting. And Matthias, maybe I can give you an opportunity to answer that question. Any insights there on what you can or what you want to see?
In AI tools, or
Yeah. If you're evaluating them or if you're using them, what should you be looking for?
I agree with what FX said, and I especially agree also with this what he emphasized is looking for a partner, yeah, because more than just the tool, yeah, because what we see is that the entire way how we work changes, yeah, and this is a huge transformation, yeah, and for that, for many things we still need to figure out. Yeah, we've seen here also in the Q&A box these questions. Yeah, for example, in the one Kenneth asked, yeah, that a lot of companies want large numbers of patents as a sign of their innovation power. Yeah, and AI helps with that in one way. In another way, it may make the whole thing a bit ridiculous. Yeah, if they're all automatically generated by AI. Yeah, and don't reflect true innovation in the company, then the patents would just lose their value, yeah, or their perceived value. And I think this is just one example where the whole where the expectation in quality will go up, and also the ability, for example, to analyze quality of patents. Yeah. And so what companies need is a partner who helps them adapt to this new world. Yeah, be more efficient and also achieve higher quality, because it'll be expected, and because if you don't have this higher quality, competitors will be able to find out. Yeah. um, yeah, and this is where it's important that the tool provider also has sees themselves as a partner, and has patent attorneys, for example, assisting the users.
Yeah, no doubt. So I've got the last poll question up there. If you do want to get free access to DeepIP to explore it and check it out, feel free to answer this poll question. We'll make sure that we get you that access. I know we're a minute over, but I really would like to give each of you in very rapid fire, let's try and keep it elevator pitch length, the opportunity to give your takeaway message. Matthias, let's start with you. very quickly, what do you want people to remember?
That AI changes the way we work. Yeah, that it's a journey, and that on that journey you should be looking for a partner such as DeepIP or Patent Maker.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you, Dan. Your takeaway message.
I guess embrace change would be the mantra. So we're supposed to be at the forefront of technology, right?
Yeah,
So,
that's great. I mean, we are supposed to be the technologists leading the charge. So don't be afraid of technology. That's a great. I like that. Thanks, Dan, for being here so much. And I know it's not a real convenient time for you in Japan, so thank you for being here.
no, thanks very much for having me.
And FX, the final word goes to you.
I think my take here is the collapse of the Babel Tower, you know. So basically, being able, as foreign companies or working with foreign countries, to use a tool which is natively understanding local specificities, jurisdictional specificities, local case law, the access to the PTOs in all of these countries, natively speaking all the languages required. And so basically, giving you much more ability to make up better decisions, whether to do more internally or just to challenge what is done with your outside counsel, facilitating the speed at which things are going and decisions are made. So I think it's an amazing opportunity to facilitate international collaboration and international filing for large corporations.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Thank you all panelists. I appreciate it. Thank you all for being here today for this webinar. That's all we have for today. We hope to see you again in the future, and we will see you all soon. Bye for now, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye bye, Daniel.
Thanks very
Bye,
much.
Matthias.